All right, let's do it. So once you're on your mat, go ahead, lie down in Shavasana, corpse pose. So when you lie down, it should feel pretty good. Your heels, your hips, your shoulders all in one line. Just feeling for the breath. The back half of the body dropping into the floor. The front half of the body being light, easy. And so if we're going to start to move into the hips, let's at least start from a neutral position right here. Just assessing. Maybe one hip feels tighter than the other. Maybe there's just a general discomfort in both. But just noticing it first as it is before we start to get into it. And let's just do this with the toes real quick. So just notice where your toes are facing, like it's like a clock. So if all the 10 toes face up towards the ceiling, let's just call that 12 o'clock. And then if you were to bring them all the way out to the sides, it'd be like 3 and 9 o'clock. And just move it between those 2 points a few times, just opening, closing your feet like they're little books, or a book of your leg, opening and closing. And then just see where the feet fall naturally. Generally, if the front of the hips are tighter, your toes are going to still be up more towards the 12 o'clock. And if the fronts of the hips are generally open, the feet will open up wider. So there's not a right or wrong way, but it is just valuable information to know how the hips are in general. Okay, let's stretch a bit. So bend your right knee into your chest, and then if you can, interlace your 10 fingers and place that grip underneath your right knee. As you do this, start to bend both of your elbows so your biceps engage, and you're just going to draw your knee towards the armpit. So the Sanskrit translation of this, or the English translation of this, is wind removing pose. As we start to work and compress around the abdomen. So as you're squeezing your right knee into your armpit, right hip is flexing, but it's not just about your right hip. In fact, take your left hand, put it on your left hip, and imagine like there's a little weight there, and your left hip becomes 10 pounds heavier. And then maybe extend your left arm onto your left thigh, and imagine your left thigh bone becomes 20 pounds heavier. And so these are your anchor points. Bring your left hand back to your shin, and keep squeezing the right knee towards the chest. Breathing like you could, all the way down into your right hip crease. And then release the right leg down to the ground. Move nice and slow. Bend your left knee into your chest and get the grip top of the shin below the knee, and again start to guide the knee towards the armpit. Elbows bend, but when your elbows bend, rather than like a push-up, then they go wide, can you hug the elbows towards the ribs? Keep the back of the neck long. And breathe low, like you could breathe beyond your left lung, all the way down into the left hip crease. If it was helpful, put your right hand to your right hip, heavy. Right hand to the right thigh, heavy. Keep the heaviness, bring the right hand back to the shin, and squeeze the knee a little closer to the armpit. And then relax the left leg down to the ground. So back to this home base, reassessing, noticing if the hips feel any different. Are you cured yet of your hip discomfort? Okay, not yet? We'll keep going then. So we'll take a half happy baby pose. Bend both of your knees and place your feet on the ground. Keep your left foot on the ground, and then bring your right knee close to your chest again. And then use your right hand to grab the pinky toe edge of your right foot here. If you can't grab your foot, don't worry, grab your shin. Or if even that's too much, you can put your hand behind your hamstring and hold there to start. But eventually being able to hold the foot so that you can start to push your foot into your hand and then bend your right elbow a little bit and try and resist. So it's active. You're trying to straighten your leg, but the hand's keeping the leg from getting perfectly straight. Breathe there. If you're pretty comfortable here, you can extend your left leg long to the ground to get a deeper stretch. If that feels crazy, bend your left knee, put the foot down, give yourself some more slack. Keep breathing. Left hand can go to the left hip here to anchor you down, just like the last pose. And maybe the right leg opens up to the right a little bit. Not the biggest movement, just a little swaying to get out any nooks and crannies, to explore the nooks and crannies, to feel sensation maybe. Okay, that's enough of that for the pose and for me talking. Put your right foot down and lift your left leg up. And then assess, see where you can grab. Eventually grab the foot. Modifications are grabbing your calf, grabbing your hamstring. You can also get like a towel or a little extension to put under the foot and hold like that. That would be a good idea, because then you can still get this pressure, right? Foot to the sky, hand resisting. So push and pull there. So think of the left leg like an energy circuit. And when you plug into the bottom of the foot, it should be able to travel all the way up to the left hip. Right hand to the right hip, or extend the right leg long to get a deeper stretch. Always listen to the quality of your breath though. If it feels like choppy or you just can't keep remembering to breathe, you might be too deep into the pose. You want to find a comfortable sense of breath here. Again, if it feels okay, you can let the left knee rotate out a little bit and then bring it back underneath the heel. So finding a little rotation in that left leg might give you some extra information in the hip. And then you'll put your left foot down to the ground. You put your right foot down to the ground. Take a few breaths here, arms go wide, and as long as your low back is okay, think navel to the spine to light up your core a bit, and just gently go left and right with your knees. Don't go fast. Don't let the knees hit the ground or anything. Just a little swaying left and right. Then bend both knees into your chest, tuck yourself into a little ball, and if you can, just kind of rock and roll up and down your spine a few times. If not, just roll to a side and press yourself up. So we'll find Cobbler's pose now. This one, the feet touch each other like this. And you can bring the heels close to your pelvis, or you can extend them long in front of you. I want you to reach your arms up, push your feet into one another, and then begin to forward fold. Nice and long, then put your hands down. And by long, I mean the spine is long. The hands are there as a little support. And just continue to move right and left in this like kind of semicircle shape. Continue to plug the feet into one another. You might even start to sweep your arms in this fashion. This is kind of fun. It feels like you're like a modern dancer or something. Don't go too crazy. Don't go too fast. Just a little movement up top to clear out some space in the hips. Maybe with the breath. So inhale, stretch up. Exhale, sweep across. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, sweep across. One more, you beautiful, expressionistic dancer, you. Okay, back to the center. And then bring your shoulders back over the hips. Cross your ankles and find a tabletop pose. Getting ready for the end here. I just want you to shift your hips in a circle a couple of times here. Just roll it out. And really what we've been building to in this little 10-minute sequence is lizard pose. So with your palms underneath your shoulders, take your right foot to the outside of your right wrist. So if you were going to see that dead on, it's like this. The right leg is to the outside of the right arm. Okay? And then from here, just going to slowly walk the left knee back in space until you start to feel the stretch in the front of your left hip crease. And if it feels okay to look forward, look forward. If it feels better to look towards the ground, look to the ground. Breathing here. So again, you should feel a stretch along the front of your left hip crease, this long extension here. And then an option here with your front leg. At first, I would like for you to keep your right knee over your right heel, but if you want to get a little more angle, you can start to open up your right knee to the side. Now, I wouldn't suggest going like too crazy, too floppy with it, but a little bit of the opening can just give you a stretch in a different part of the hip. Maybe shifting the weight a little forward and back if that feels okay. All right, slowly walk the leg back. So you're back in this tabletop pose. Shift the hips a little bit just to get out any tension, unnecessary tension. And then step your left foot to the outside of your left wrist, right? And then slowly with the right knee, walk it back in space. And begin to sink the hips down, but keep your chest up. The higher you can keep your chest, the more you'll get into your hips here, right? If I'm rounding my back, my hips are gonna lift up. And that's okay if you're super tight, but as you get more comfortable in these postures, we want to start to really get into the hips. Again, if it was informative or felt okay to let the left knee open up to the side, you can. But still imagine like you could plug the inner part of your left foot into the ground, so you're not just completely opened up. This is not half pigeon. This is lizard. Couple more breaths here. Like you could inhale all the way to the front of the right hip crease. That's it. And then slowly walk your way out into your tabletop pose. Moving the hips around a little bit. And then just cross your ankles, sit in a comfortable seat. Noticing how the hips feel. Now, it might feel good to put something underneath your knees, like 2 blocks or maybe 2 equal-sized books, to let the hips have a little more support. Or if you're on the tighter side, it might feel good to just let them open up here. So that was your 10-minute, that's hip yoga practice. I hope that it was helpful. Please follow, subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting videos here, and comment below. And I'm so excited to get to work with you. Peace out.